reflections. So, the other day I had a really, really interesting experience with a float tank and I decided I wanted to share it. So, recently in my everyday life, it's just becoming more and more and more psychedelic without psychedelics. Hey, what's up? And it's been really just becoming really interesting. So, how would I say my experience with the float tank was? This one was very different from the last time that I went. It was more like a pod type atmosphere and it was all automated, which was really cool. The place that I went to was Aspire in Manhattan. It was a little bit more expensive than the last one that I went to, but it was more sterile. You know what I mean? It was they weren't as knowledgeable as, say, the other place. Not to say it was a bad place. It was very good. I still had a very good experience. I can't really complain about the experience because I got what I wanted. And basically, I had a very hard time getting comfortable when I was in the flotation tank, and it felt very DMT because I don't know if you guys have ever been into a float tank, but when you're in this thing, you have to remind yourself you're not in a DMT trip. You have to constantly remind yourself everything's okay. I'm gonna be okay. Everything's fine. I'm love. I'm light. I am infinity. I am source. I am, pure consciousness, and like I started realizing that going into this space was kind of like going into the void, essentially experiencing pure consciousness, the void, absolutely nothing and nothingness. So that's basically what it kind of, that's the hardest part of it, is just sitting there in silent darkness and just experiencing yourself for what it is. And that's very hard to do. And, especially for somebody that, just hasn't done this before. I've done the meditation, but I haven't done it suspended in water, which is, just completely different. And especially when you're in that type of atmosphere where it's basically like a pod. Of course, you have to it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to just relax. And I kept on reminding myself, I paid money to be here. I am here for a reason. I have to remind myself constantly. I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. And then it became very DMT again. And then I realized, yeah, I woke up. I'm here for a reason. I remember that reason. And it was so DMT. It was so just this knowing and this remembering of why I am here. Why I'm here. I'm here to elevate my consciousness. I'm here in this simulated reality to elevate my consciousness, and that is it. And that was just and I reminded myself, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? That's why I'm here. That's the only reason why I'm in this 3D, reality, this dimension. And that really, really just made it so much easier to float, man. It made it so much easier just to, let go and just float. And it was after that initial 10 minutes, I had a very, very productive experience floating. It was just a feeling of nothingness, oneness, and completely detaching myself from all thoughts. Feeling in unity consciousness, feeling I was everything. Look at the way she's looking at me with love in her eyes. I love you too, my little alien cat. And that was how I felt. And after, like when I got out of that and I was in that void and I was just experiencing myself in the purest form, just experiencing nothingness, experiencing what it is going to be like to just go into the void. It was really beautiful. And I was no longer afraid. I was no longer afraid at all. And I was so happy that I was able to just let go and just be in silent darkness for 50 minutes. I know it took me a little bit to get used to it, but after that, I have to say it was the most calming, the most beautiful, the most unifying experience that I've had. And again, I didn't use any type of psychedelics, but I did use Ormus. I used Ormus, um, and I used a little bit of marijuana, not a lot, because again, I go through anxiety a little bit, right before this, because it's being in darkness for an hour, which is, when you think about it, that's a long time to be able to. And what I do is I focus on my breath, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And I say, I am consciousness, I am love, I am unity, I am source. I am connected to source. I am an expression of source. I just keep on going on and on and on, and just going into that no thought, because it's talking yourself into that no thought. And then once I get into, that's why it takes like 10 minutes. And then once I get there, I'm good to go. And I did meditate for the mass consciousness of, the awakening of the mass consciousness for everybody. I did, because we are living in really weird times where we are polarized, we are dualistic, and that duality is so in our faces today. It's so extreme. And you could see that within what's going on with American politics, with the world, with a lot of stuff that's going on. And it's so funny because when I went to the float tank, I saw a lot of people protesting. And I understand that, everybody is just a little bit scared and a little bit worried about what's going to happen in all of this duality and all this polarity. But I was trying to get to this float tank, and I was in there meditating for everyone, for unity, for um, just a different reality, and for hope and love, and just unity. And that's really it. And that was the focus of my float, just being everything, being one with everything, and letting go of that dualistic way of thinking. I mean, I really feel that, especially with DMT people or people that do psychedelics, we really embody Christ consciousness, because, before I speak, before I do, I think, what vibration am I carrying? You know, of course, when I first started my YouTube, that was not something I was aware of, and that was not something I was used to because of the negative programming that I had installed that I had to clear out. And I did that with a lot of psychedelic work, and I think that's why um, my work with psychedelics has come to a little bit of a halt, is because I've cleared all of that negativity. I've cleared all of that duality. I recognize the duality, and I recognize uh, why there are certain things, why there, the duality and everything, obviously. But I also understand the singularity and everything. And I recognize that having that, dualistic way of thinking, that you are separate from me, you think that you are different from me, and that could also be uh, a little bit dangerous, because then you start saying, well, you're different from me, so I'm going to treat you this way. You're exterior from me, so I'm going to treat you with disrespect. And that's not reality. The true reality is that we are all an expression of source, and through our vibration we choose which reality we want to create, co-create consciously. And that could be a reality that is defined by fear, or the reality that can be defined as love. And that's why I have been minding my vibration, because I want to co-create a reality that is free from fear, free from destruction, free from, destroying others and hurting others. I am so lucky and so thankful that I was able to wake up and take control. So yeah, that's what I've been realizing more and more and more, is that we are dealt this deck of cards. We're dealt this experience, And it's up to us to realize that this is a simulation to recognize the truest, highest power, which is ourselves. Or we could feel bad for for ourselves, or we could turn to hatred, or we could turn to fear, or we could turn to, like there's so many ways. And I realized very early on, you know, thankfully that this is, I'm love, I'm light, and that's really it. And I'm so happy. Like, and that's why I haven't really deleted any of my stuff. And I can't believe 50,000 views. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can't believe I didn't even think that, 10 people would listen, let alone 50,000. Thank you so much. And that's another thing. Once you realize people are listening, you have to mind your vibration. And it it sucks because my most viewed videos are videos where I am still in that technically DMT psychosis state, and that was 2 or 3 or 4 months ago. You know what I mean? The evolution of consciousness is really, really fast. And within 7 to 8 months, 7 months since I've started my YouTube channel, the amount of change has been dramatic. I'm completely different. And that's why I put up this channel. I wanted to show the evolution of spirituality, the evolution of consciousness. And it's not true. Spiritual people have it's not true that all spiritual people are just, perfect, and everything's perfect, and they've never done anything, and they've never sinned, and they're just these perfect beings. It's not reality. Reality is that we fall and we make mistakes and we learn from them and we grow from them. Yeah, I've been having really interesting experiences. And then I had a lucid dream yesterday after I came back from the float tank, and I've been seeing these synchronicities 1, 2, 3, 4, and basically my lucid dream was continue on the path that you are and continue doing what you're doing, and obviously you're doing this for the higher good of the collective. So as long as I keep on working in that direction, then I think that I'm doing what I'm here to do, and that's really fulfilling. It's really fulfilling to feel content and happy with who you are and where you are. So yeah, it's really amazing. A lot has changed literally within this year of my ego death and all my experiences. So much has changed. I have a completely different life, and I'm so thankful that I was able to, experience everything in such a short amount of time and be able to document that and film that. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I've been doing, and cuddling with this little monkey. I'm so excited for her. She's so amazing. Anyway, reflections. I hope you're having an awesome day.